attack, fast fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet out. Get ready for defeat now.
I always wondered how I ever got to this point. The world, it was odd, it was crazy, and it was dull. And people didn't really like me very much. My attitude, the way I just seemed, my general personality. Everyone thought I used to be different, and they would make fun of me for it. But who's laughing now? Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kiru's show here, and as you can tell from this title, I've been thinking about this what if a lot today. So I'm going to upload this and then try and get another video out, since I do have to do some stuff tomorrow. Anyways, now, with that being said, let us begin. We will begin with Izuku Midoriya. In this timeline, Inko's quirk is different, and so is Hasashi's. Now, Hasashi has a very weird quirk, and so does Inko. But let us step away from them for a minute, and focus on their son, Izuku Midoriya. Whenever he was born, he looked like any normal child. No abnormal mutations and no weird things about him. Just a perfectly normal, healthy baby boy. And we will cut forwards a little bit to Midoriya at the age of 2. He's doing everything a little kid should be. However, there's a little bit of a weird problem. Midoriya, yeah, he looks happy and generally does smile, but he does have a weird look on his face all the time. And it's just the way his eyes are. It's kind of creepy sometimes. And genuinely, it gets really unnerving. At least that's what Inko thinks. Now, Hasashi, he did have to go overseas. And as soon as he went overseas, it just got worse. Her baby boy, the child she had and she loved, he just acts strange, and she can't tell a difference in him. She can't tell if he's ever actually happy. He wears a smile, but he never looks happy. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does eventually start school, and actually begin to stay around kids more and more. It seemed like those traits were wearing off. However, they just became a bit different, and/or shifted. Midoriya began to be a little bit more competitive, and usually, he would lie. Like any little kid. Where did you get that? He would lie to you where he got it from, and say other things. It didn't really seem out of the ordinary. And then Midoriya went to go get his quirk checked out. There was nothing. He was quirkless. Now, with that being said, that just kind of made Inko a bit more worried on how this might affect him. She thought that he might have a, learning disorder. And she tried to get him enrolled in certain classes. Things that he could do to help curb that personality trait. And/or simply just the way he may have been built in his mind. They do diagnose Midoriya, with at least a small form of possibly being a psychopath. Except they use the medical term for it, to which Inko has to Google. These traits, they can develop early as in a child. However, they can go away. And over the next few years, Inko, she does see that Midoriya does appear to make progress. However, in all actuality, Midoriya, he lies. He fakes a smile and pretends to be happy. A lot of people, they genuinely see the side of Midoriya that he only ever shows to them. And whenever Midoriya does act this way, it's usually whenever he's at school, or whenever none of his peers are around. Whenever people would try and tell Midoriya and say that he's acting strangely, he would go back to a happy, joyful personality, something that everyone found strange, since everyone basically was called liars. They were making up things to bully and mess with the quirkless kid. That was it. Now, with that being said, Bakugo, he did try and bully Midoriya at one point, and tried to mess with him. Whenever he did try to hurt Midoriya and beat him up, Midoriya didn't really care. He did feel pain, and he was actually a bit, well, hurt. But he didn't cry. That's the weird thing. And a couple weeks after that incident, Midoriya actually did something strange. He was able to talk to the kids with Bakugo, and actually convince them to be on his side. He would start talking to other people, and actually begin to be friends with them. He was that kid who everyone saw. He might be strange and odd, but you can rely on him. He's just that type of person. If you need him, he will be there. And he was actually a bit more charming. Midoriya began to look into ways to talk to people, since he'd always read them differently. He was always very smart as a child, top of his class. And that's just it. The strangest thing was, Midoriya made Bakugo's friends beat him up. And Midoriya said that he would take the blame. Whenever confronted about it, he lied. He wasn't involved. He didn't even know what was going on. And they fell for it. Other kids tried to blame Midoriya, saying that they told him to beat Bakugo up. And they got in trouble because Midoriya didn't know what they were talking about. He began to simply just destroy people's lives, because he could. Other times he was very strange and spontaneous. Whenever he was sitting in class one day, he was just bored. So he took his notebook and just began to fold up papers and toss them around the room. Anytime the teacher was not looking. It was strange. But Midoriya, he at least showed some sign of happiness. It was kind of odd. Now, with that being said, this is how Midoriya lives his life. This is his day-to-day normal occurrences. Constantly lying to people, talking with them, and being at the top of his class. Along with that, he had a very competitive spirit. And since Bakugo was eventually getting stronger and training with his quirk, Midoriya began to physically train, just so he can stay in front of Bakugo. That was his only reason, just so he could win. Now, along with that, he eventually began to develop an infatuation with himself. He became narcissistic. Yeah, he was different. He knows that he cannot be a hero. He knows that people will constantly see him as in the way. But he doesn't really care, since he does know that no matter what happens, he's got family. And at the end of the day, that matters for something, right? At least he believes it should. But to him, it doesn't really do anything. It's just, oh hey, this is my mother. That's it. That's all he sees Inko as. The person who raised him. That doesn't mean much to him. And Midoriya, yeah. Inko began to see some of these small little signs. The signs that he was still that same little boy that she had to take to a doctor and almost had to medicate. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does eventually slip, but he did it on purpose. He wanted to get caught this time. And whenever Inko tried to simply say that Midoriya was doing all this, trying to confront him about it, Midoriya flipped it on her. She was being extremely paranoid. She locks the doors and locks the windows at night. And what is the reason? Midoriya explaining that the neighbors, roughly next door, he believes that they steal stuff. Is that why? Is she paranoid? Midoriya digging into her mind. He knows her fears. He knows exactly what scares her. And Inko, yeah. Midoriya flipped it on her, and she thought that she had to go to the doctor. Now, as Midoriya got older, well, nothing really happened. Nothing really changed. As Midoriya, right now, he is roughly at the age of 14. And he is thinking, as he stares out his window. It's boring. Things are boring. Anything he can do to entertain himself, he's already done. And now it's just dull. It's lackluster. There is no color nor joy that he feels. It's all annoying. That being when the teacher throws up the papers, Midoriya barely even throwing a glance in that direction. And the teacher begins to speak, saying that he also does believe that they had two people going to UA. Bakugo getting up and shouting that there cannot be two people. He is the only one here going to UA. Oh, Bakugo. Of course, you're one of the students. And the other is Izuku Midoriya. Everyone's slowly turning and looking at him. Midoriya is just standing up and saying, of course he's going to go to UA. If he wants to get into the school, he'll simply just do it. At this point, he's just bored. Bakugo simply just trying to blast away at him and try and actually get him to do something. Trying to threaten Midoriya not to go to UA. Midoriya doing one thing. Whenever he does stand up, Bakugo takes a step backwards. And Midoriya stares at him. Bakugo's face changed. He went from being, yeah, okay, you're not doing that, to, oh shit, you're actually standing up. You're actually going to do something. Midoriya began to tell Bakugo that he bets roughly about $50 that he can take him down without even Bakugo using a quirk. Bakugo, yeah. He just tells Midoriya that that's not possible. And Midoriya does actually begin to take off his shirt, taking off his long sleeve shirt and telling Bakugo that of course it's possible. I can outsmart you, and as people actually do see it, Midoriya, he does look a bit muscular. Actually, him and Bakugo might be the same size. And Midoriya tells Bakugo just to throw a damn punch. Besides, you got nothing to prove. Or is that just it? Does mommy not love you? Bakugo, pissed off. Midoriya struck a nerve. Bakugo throwing out his fist. Midoriya, he gets Bakugo's hand to go into the long sleeve shirt. As soon as it does, Midoriya just pulls it around halfway and wraps it around Bakugo, pulling the other long sleeve downward, before smashing Bakugo's face onto a desk. And telling Bakugo that was it. You really are too hot-headed. Well, him simply just getting his shirt out from Bakugo's arm and saying bye before walking off. Now, with that, Midoriya, yeah, he begins to walk around town. He's bored, and he does want to actually do something. He wants to know what's going on, if there's any way to entertain himself right now. As, whenever Midoriya does actually go by an alleyway this time, a few people do actually pop out and ask Midoriya if he's here for something. No, not really. I'm looking for something to entertain myself with. Really. So, how much money you got on you, kid? Depends. Are you gonna rob me or sell me something? Well, that depends on who you are. You're not a cop, are you? Do I look like a cop? Fair point. Anyways, what do you want? I got anything you need. If you want some entertainment, I can give you something to entertain yourself. Or do you want some of that quirk enhancer stuff? Quirk enhancer? Okay, now you've got my attention. It's quite simple. Quirk enhancer. It can improve your quirk for a short period of time. Hell, stuff also gives you an awesome high. Really? Well, sure. What else do you have on you? I'm a bit curious. The man simply just explained to Midoriya a few other things. He has THC and, well, a lot of other crazy shit. Midoriya basically spending his allowance on it. He was able to get a couple shots of this quirk enhancer stuff. And, from what he's heard, the guy described it as a new feeling. Midoriya wanted to try it. Seemed interesting. And Midoriya did it. Whenever he got home, he simply injected it into his arm. And went to see what would happen. Nothing really happened. All that happened was Midoriya felt lightheaded, and he simply began to hallucinate, trying out a bit more of this other stuff over the next few weeks. And even, one time, accidentally bumping into Bakugo, and poking him with a needle. Bakugo got really lightheaded before his quirk went haywire, and he actually did have to go to the police to see what was going on. Whenever the police and the doctors tested Bakugo's blood, and they found quirk enhancement stuff, or quirk enhancement supplements, they tried to question Bakugo about it. It wasn't very strange or odd. Well, it was strange and odd, but the kid, they wanted to give the benefit of the doubt. Bakugo always had good attendance and good other stuff. So, there's also the fact that his quirk was naturally strong. Everyone's seen his quirk constantly pop off before. Plus, the way Bakugo described it feeling, yeah. It was pretty clear-cut this kid was drugged. And they tried to figure out who may have done it. Midoriya, he was a bit happy and excited. Something to spice up his life. This quirk enhancer stuff is actually pretty fun too. Now, Midoriya, he begins to entertain himself this way. manipulating people and messing with them. And it just became a bit more fun. Going out and usually getting some of this stuff again. And it just became part of a routine. Ways to have fun. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.